Okay. Good evening. Um, I think what I'm really trying to do is play one or two games, maybe three. We'll see how it goes. If I get my butt kicked quickly, I'll probably just resign quickly and see if we can move on. Of course, I'm just kidding, because at the rating I'm at and my opponents are at, typically the game's not over till it's over. Okay, fair to say. So we'll go ahead and pull up a game here. If I play with white, the goal is going to be to open up with the e-pawn and try to play a Vienna line or something of that nature. Not this time though, because we're opening up as black. So I want to defend that pawn. Um, I really don't like when it gets congested. Um, so I will play here. And then here. And then here. I'm okay trading for the plain and simple fact, even if I come up down a pawn, I'm really bad at calculating exchanges and trades when it comes to knights and bishops and, who's protecting what, and, if, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reinforce that knight now. Okay. And, yeah, we'll play there. Boy, I've really not developed a lot, but what they have developed, they're really not in a great position. I mean, you can threaten my king, but I'll take, and I'm happy to trade a knight for a bishop. But, their queen's not going anywhere, their bishop's not going anywhere, and I'm nice and open over here. I mean, you know, um, but, yeah, I don't know what that's doing. So now I honestly, I want to weaken their pawns over here. You got to take with the pawn, you can't take with the queen. Okay. Okay, and now okay, I mean, I just don't see how their queen's a threat. I don't see how their bishop's a threat. Okay, so king, check. Yeah, so I think I'll just move here. So I think the next move from me will come with a check. King will have to move. I'll come in with the knight, forking the king and the rook, and I think the queen's going to be forced to take, and I'll come away with it. So I think at this point, I think the best thing for them to do is to move that bishop. But I could be wrong, because now here comes the knight to fork, and I think the only way to avoid mate is to take with the queen. I think. I could easily be wrong. So fork, and then yeah, I think they're gonna have to take with the queen. I think I've left him in a bad position here. Yep. Okay. So here we are, move 16. I'm up 7 points of material. Can they trap me with the bishop? No. Can they trap me with the rook? Ooh. No. Oof. But it's off. Oh no, because hello, I could take with the pawn if that happened. Okay. Yeah. This feels good already. Yeah, I don't blame him. That was a tough way to go. Okay, so real quick, give him the thumbs up. Oh my goodness, the microphone's 2 miles away. Probably didn't hear a word I said. My apologies. So gave him the thumbs up. Give him the hey, good game, exclamation point, because we're a good sport. Okay, game review. I saw there were 2 mistakes. Wouldn't be surprised if I had at least one of them, but that was pretty good. Okay, so they had 1 blunder. I had 3 mistakes and 3 inaccuracies. I had 1 great move, but White was actually up early according to the computer. Let's take a look here. So E4 is a book move, so is E5, so is in C6. Knight C, you are cordially invited. I don't know what that is. So this is the last book move. What I should have done was played my knight, but instead I played a pawn. So okay, so here White's made a huge mistake. Because right now, I'm up as the computer is concerned. So far, throughout this whole opening, the computer really favors White. I mean, heavily. Has him up 3.5 points almost on move 13. Overlooks an opportunity to win material. So let's take that back. Takes, takes, takes. Was that the idea? Let the computer think that through. I mean, that must have been the idea. But again, even if that's how that played out, I know that I struggle with a congested, centerboard. And so if I go into the exchange and come out down a pawn just to get rid of that congestion, I'm comfortable with it. 10 times out of 10 times. So, yeah, so here they're giving black the advantage. And I like it. I did want to weaken White's pawn structure. And so to take now, I knew that they couldn't take with the queen. So I knew that was going to ruin their pawn structure. So that's why I took. But the computer is saying that I should have taken with the knight. So let's play that out. Takes. Again, you can't take with the queen, but this is a forcing move. You gotta take with the pawn. And then is that the move, that I take that pawn? Yes, it is. So, I see the appeal there. I don't see, so I mean, I get it. You know, the computer says that's the right play. Last thing I'm going to do is argue with the computer. But, you know, that, you know, I like threatening their queen. And I suppose, in hindsight, perhaps I could have played the king move to protect the pawn. So, like, I mean, I do see that. But when I'm this close to your king, I'm perfectly fine, you know, putting myself in a position to attack. Okay, so, you know, they're calling that a great move. To me, it looks like an obvious move. Here is where I knew I was going to get the queen, either a resignation or the queen. I got the queen, and then I got the resignation, so I got them both. But, you know, I don't necessarily think it was poorly played by my opponent. You know, I just played slightly better in that match. But, you know, to go back and take a look at the review, you know, I don't think you can see it on this. You know, early on, they were up, as far as the computer was concerned, 3.5 points. And then by the end, I was, you know, up 10 points of material. So, good game. So we'll go back to play. That was a 30-minute game. I'm playing a little bit quicker than 30 minutes. But I do, if it gets complicated, I like to slow it down. So I'll stick with 30 minutes. If we can move quicker, we'll move quicker. Okay. So the opponent here is rated 650, so quite a bit lower than me. I've lost to opponents rated less than this, right? I'm not good enough to brag, but whenever I see somebody who's rated 600 or lower, or, you know, 700 or lower, even if I make a big blunder, you know, I'm well versed enough to know no need to resign, because I've lost a queen on accident, only to come back and take their queen because they blundered it on accident too. So this should be an interesting game, mainly because I suck and so do they. No disrespect to them, of course. Just going off the rating. So you know, do I threaten the bishop? Do I develop a bishop? I'll develop a piece, right? Get out a knight. I've got no problem, you know, pushing the a-pawn. And now that they're bringing in a knight, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to threaten their bishop. If they want to take, let them take. And now they're really in trouble. I shouldn't have said really in trouble, but so now here's what I'm going to do. If their knight on the king side comes to e5 or g5, they're really threatening this pawn and or my king, right? They're threatening a fork. Worst case scenario, they're threatening a fork with their knight to my queen and my rook. And so right now this pawn's covered, right, by this knight. So this square's covered. This square is not. And so for them to accomplish that, I know that they need to get to the g5 square. So I'll block it. Plain and simple. They don't have access now. Whatever they had in mind, I've ruined it for them. And I'm sure that's what they had in mind. And so I think I might just develop this bishop, get the knight out of the way, and push a pawn to threaten that bishop. That's a 3 or 4 move plan there. Oof, castles already. Okay, At some point, this bishop will probably retreat, but I love in a situation like this when you castle kingside for white, I love having this diagonal, keeping that pawn in check, because it is really easy later on, from my experience, to get somebody who is lowly rated as I am, or 650, to make them think that this is a safe space, because they're going to be able to take with the pawn when they can't. So now, I will bring back my knight. Again, probably bring down this bishop and push this pawn. Although, with a pawn on d3, easier said than done. I'm actually going to push this pawn first to open up that diagonal. Maybe put a little bit of pressure on that knight, force him to open up with the pawn. Which I consider moving that pawn right here, right? I think we're all familiar with that. Given the king, yeah, they've already done it, right? They saw that coming. So, not a big deal. I'll bring back my bishop just like I planned on. Right, still putting pressure on this square. Still putting pressure on that pawn. You know, I don't know. Their A pawn push right there. I don't know what that was a minute ago. I don't know. Oh, I do know what that accomplished. Gave a little bit of breathing room to that bishop. But I'll tell you what. Let me tell you why I'm comfortable with that. If they have to tuck that bishop back because I've blocked with a pawn, it's now a little bit more inactive. So here's my thing. If I take there, I've really opened up their king's vulnerability. So I'll do it. Absolutely. Because I don't necessarily want to say I've ruined their pawn structure, but boy, that king is looking vulnerable. Especially if I take... No. Okay, pawn push. I think I might bring the knight here. I'm willing to bet they don't take with the pawn, and then I fork. Can I get that in 2 moves? That is the question. Can I get there in 2 moves? And frankly, will they take with the pawn? I don't think they will. We'll see. Let them think this through. Let them take their time. And again, this is a long game, so this is not a big deal. So the clock's necessarily not a big deal, but you know, in 12 moves, to be up about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes in time, if this comes down to it, they're doing a lot of thinking. But it's, I'm not good enough to evaluate, the way a computer does. I don't know if I'm winning or if white's winning. I think my pawn structure is better. I think I'm taking up more space. I've got more pieces on the back rank, which, believe me, I get. But at the same time, my bishop's more active. I shouldn't say it's more active. My bishop, although it's further back, is more active, I guess is what I mean. So now, let's think this through. So takes, queen, and I'm not in great shape. So now, let's go with my original plan. So, knight, let's say they do take, and I take with a bishop. Oh, and the other thing that I think of when I look at a position like this, evaluation-wise, I have not castled, but because I'm not going to have any problem castling, I feel like my king is more safe, and although I'm playing with black, I feel like I'm on the offensive already, and they're being a little bit more defensive. So, again, play the knight. Because they've moved their queen, I'm not as interested in attempting to fork them. So bishop takes, and I lose on that exchange. So that is not what I want. Pawn takes, knight is not in a bad position, so I'll bring over the bishop. I don't know that that was a winning move. Okay, so that took me a moment to think through. So now I'm up to a minute and a half more than my opponent. But again, it's a long game. It's certainly not going to go the 30 minutes. I'd just like to use that increment so I can take the time to really think these things through. Okay, so that was not what I was expecting. So they're going to move that bishop, and then I'm going to take with the knight, let them take with the knight, and then take with the bishop, and I'm up a pawn. I believe that's how this is about to play out. So, wow, they moved their knight. So that was a terrible move. That was absolutely a terrible move. I could take the bishop, but there's no need. Okay, because I can take the bishop at any moment. There's nothing they can do to get that bishop away from me. So I don't have to take it right now. Okay, I can leave that there because that's a free bishop just hanging. In the meantime, though, what I can do is I can take this pawn. The question here is, do I take with the knight or do I take with the light squared bishop? What I think I want to do is I want to play with the light squared bishop because, the light squared bishop. I want to take with the knight because I'm then one move away from forking the queen and the rook. So I'll play the knight there. The whole time being aware that their bishop is as good as mine. If they move this pawn, I'm still not going to take. Oh, see, they resigned. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to give them credit. They must have been able to see that coming. Okay, so let's go ahead. So 2 mistakes, 0 blunders, 0 missed wins. Makes me feel good. Normally I've got blunders. Okay, we'll do a quick game review. Let's see what that looked like. I'm willing to bet I had a decent accuracy there, above 70. Okay, I'll take 81. And look at, so the way I've got the screen share going, you can't see it. At one point in the middle of the game, white was up, over 3 points as far as the computer goes. And then there was a move that sent them from being +2 to -1.25. So we'll start review. Yeah, I had no blunders. I had 2 mistakes. Okay, so let's start review. Book move, book move, book move. Okay, so Rui Lopez. Okay, what did I play? Morphe defense. I thought that was the Berlin, but I don't know much. So, okay, played the pawn. So here we are. With that move right there, when I brought back the knight, that's where the computer suggested that white is up about 3 points. Okay, when they moved that pawn, oh, I see. I had a hanging pawn, but when they pushed their A pawn, they missed an opportunity to capture an undefended piece. So then I protect it. Okay, brought back the bishop. Planned on doing that again here. My only plan was I want to ruin their pawn structure, even trade, and I ruined their pawn structure. So that one was an easy assessment. Okay, so here, bloop, here is probably where I'm considering this trade, but I also really wanted to trap their bishop. So trapped it. It has a chance to move for some strange reason. Oh, okay, hold on real quick. So this pawn push right here, this pawn push, this is what takes them from what the computer says is a, 2-point advantage to me being favored by 1.5 points. I want to take a look here. What is the computer saying? Bring out the knight. Okay, here's what I imagine it is. You're unleashing the rook. Okay, you're opening up the file, and you're giving the queen some breathing room. I imagine that's what the computer is saying, right? Because then I'm supposed to move my queen, according to the computer. They're supposed to bring over their rook, according to the computer. I'm supposed to bring up a bishop, according to the computer. And they're supposed to play their queen. Wow. So all of that, and I'm no expert, I'm not here to argue with the computer. I don't think a human being sees these as viable moves. That all seems very weird, to take your heavy hitting pieces and just throw them all onto the back rank. I suppose, and I'm not great at this, but I imagine that has something to do with the fact that the computer analysis says, whatever you've got going on at the moment, your king is extremely vulnerable, protect it. I imagine that's what it is. Because even when doing so, when taking the computer's recommendation, it's saying you're up less than 3/4 of a point. So let's go back, because none of that was played. Okay, so I did take on the bishop. They took with their pawn, pushed a pawn, played the queen. So at this point, they're still up, and this is where they drop down. So, okay, so now threatening that bishop, I anticipated that they would move. That's what made sense to me. For some strange reason, they played that knight, and the computer really didn't like that. They put me. They say black down or white down, over 5.5 points in the evaluation bar. So took with the knight. Again, they're telling me to take the bishop, but I've got other plans, and I think this is where they resigned, right? Yeah, that's where they resigned. I understand the idea of there's hanging material, but if I could get that fork, I would then gain whatever material they left me, I'm assuming the rook, and then I could take that. So, again, I'm not one to argue with what the computer says, but looking at it objectively, I see it slightly differently. Okay, so nice little game review there. Let's go back. I still haven't played with white. I'd like to try a Vienna opening. Let's take a look. Let's see. Okay, 30 minutes. Again, obviously they don't last 30 minutes. I just like being able to take my time. What do you know? So we'll play with the king's pawn, and depending on what they play, bring out the knight. I'm sure they'll play, e5. Do I bring out the knight? Yes, we'll bring out the knight. Go ahead. Yep, I will push the pawn. Okay, hold on. Okay. I'm trying to think, because I'm by no means a Vienna expert, but I believe here I push the pawn and then bring out the knight. Or do I bring out the knight first? Like I said, not very good. I'm trying to learn to get better with the Vienna opening. I think it's just push the pawn, because I like the, right, like I feel like I've got to not better control the center, but I've got, what is that? Knight. What is the move here? I think I want to bring out the pawn. I want to bring out the pawn and then bring out a knight. I think. Okay. Bring out the knight. And I don't care if they take that pawn, because it allows me to develop a bishop. I'm okay with it. So I want to get this bishop out of here. Okay. I think I want to get the bishop. What? Ooh! I'm about to... Oh, no, that wouldn't do it. Here's the vision I just had. Take, get their king, force them to... Oh, no, that is, I'm going to get their queen. Okay, take, they're going to take. Go ahead, go ahead. No, I'm wrong. No. Because when they block with the pawn, when they block with the pawn, they can also take with the knight. So, son of a gun. Oh, what? Okay, now I've got their queen. Oh Lord. Oh, nice. They really should have blocked with the knight. So that was just poorly played. That was just, whatever was there, they just didn't see it. So I'm not expecting them to resign. I'm rated 800. I blunder all the time. I'm sure they're going to try to come back, because I can easily screw this up. But now I'm just going to get my queen out of the way, and I'm going to castle, right? Get my king to safety, and then, fight on. Okay. Ugh. Seriously. Okay. So I can move, check the king, and no, I don't want a castle. Ooh, okay. I'm trying to take a look and see, am I somehow screwing myself? Fork. I don't want to pre-move. Yeah. Oh, God, that's not a fork, that's a blunder. Like I said, I can easily blunder. I am not that good. Oh, crap. Um, and I still can't castle. Okay. Wow. Here's my goal. Don't blunder, get my king to safety. I just donate a knight. Oh boy. The next move I play, oh gosh. I shouldn't say the next move I play because they're going to chase down my bishop. Which I'm okay. If I bring down the bishop and they take, I'm cool because then it opens up my rook. So, I mean, or it hides my queen. So, to maintain the pawn structure, I'd rather take with the queen. Because that's still where I want to castle my king. So that's actually a little bit easier of a decision than I originally thought. Okay, so are there any potential forks coming? Nothing here. Boom. If you try to take with the bishop, I'll take with my rook. Okay, easy call. And now I can castle. Okay, that was easy. That was also even easier. And now, unless something comes under immediate threat, I'll just castle. But we'll see. Maybe my opponent has other ideas. So I'll play here. Just to protect the queening of a pawn. Right? Because if they play here, we're locked. Okay. I keep saying I'm going to move my king to safety, and apparently I just refuse. See, now here's what's funny. They think that if I bring my rook here, they're just going to be able to take. But they can't because it's a discovered check. They'll be able to take my pawn, but I can easily... Yeah, here we go. Then I'll scoot up, and then I'll take their bishop. I think. I keep saying I'm going to do these things that I don't do. But I do think if they take that pawn, right, if I bring over here, they're trapped here, trapped here, trapped here. That might be checkmate if they take that pawn. Apparently I just refuse to move this king to safety. It's a thought that I have. I'll consider it. So yeah, I think this is just checkmate. Because they can't move here, they can't move here, can't move here, can't move here, can't. So, checkmate? Yeah, okay. Okay. Nice. So that's 3 games in a row tonight. Game review. Bloop, 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 bloop. Okay, so, oh, nice, 73. So anything above 70, I feel good. I really, lately I've had 2 games in the past couple of days where I was up in the 90, you know, one of them was like 99.1 accuracy, which was, I'm like Magnus Carlsen. Okay, so what is that opening? The French defense prepares for d5. Okay, right. So that's the Vienna. Ish. Okay. Threatens to win material. And d4. So this is the French defense. I've played this 37 times with a 46% win rate. Today was the exception. Okay. Okay. So right now, actually, let me go ahead and take that back. Right now, can you see the evaluation bar? You can see that. So computer thinks I'm up over 3 points in advantage. Right here, the computer then disagrees, says that was a bad move. Should have just taken the pawn. Whatever. I don't know what that move. That's the first time I think I've seen somebody move a king like that when they've got so many options to defend. So that puts me up, as far as the computer goes, over 4.5 points in an advantage. And then from there, it really just gets worse and worse. So the computer thinks that is a blunder. Oh, no, and it was. I did not see the bishop there. And in my mind, I thought as soon as I bring over this knight, I've got the rook. And black was smarter than me in that regard. So I don't know how I overlooked that. They take, good on them. And this is where I start to say to myself, let me go back. I want to go back to when I got the queen. They did not have to sacrifice a queen. Had they played their knight, and I took with the bishop. No, where did they play this wrong? Where did they play this wrong? Yes, so right here, I'm thinking about, oh, I've got their, I'm seeing the opportunity to line up their queen. By playing this pawn right here, even if I take and threaten their king, like, they're good. Right? Like, they're good to go. They can just, like, take right here. And if I threaten here, you know, whatever. But the fact that they gave up the defense of the, you know, g5 square, that's what allowed me to come in. I mean, even just pushing this pawn. Almost anything else would have put them in a position to keep their queen. And even if they had, what I had anticipated was, oh, if they move here and I take, you know, somehow I thought there was still a way for them to defend. But once they sacrificed protecting the g5 square, oh man, that's ugly. And there's something else that I did here. I let them just have this bishop. I was so focused on attacking them that, you know, I should have just taken the exchange, right? I should have, instead, I just walked into letting them have a piece. So in my my thought looking at this, if I could go back, I'd do that again. Because, like I said, I blunder. That's just giving up free material. Here, that was giving up free material. Yeah, that was a... Why is that a good move? They're in check. Oh, that's right, because it was a double check. Okay, that's why it was a good move, right? Because it was a discovered check. Sometimes when reviewing what I did well, I can still just see mistakes. So, okay, so they had to move their king. They couldn't take. And that's where I thought I had a fork. That was a blunder, though, because I gave away some free material. Like I said, being rated 800, I blunder a lot, so no surprise. Okay. And again, here, I could take with a pawn, but because my plan, which never came to fruition, was to castle, I wanted to keep my pawn structure healthy. So that's why I took with the queen. Whoops. Valuation bar goes down there. That's why I took with the queen. Okay, so that explains that. The knight, again, when I've got a crowded area that includes a king and a rook and the queen not too far away, I always calculate when a knight comes in, where can they move that would fork me? And nothing was really scary there. Now had they played here, I wouldn't have taken with the queen because it was protected. I would have had to find a way to move my rook or something. But anyway, that was never a serious threat. I brought in the knight. The original idea was to protect so that I could castle. Again, that never came to fruition because they took and I took. And I was happy to make that trade. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever it is that... whatever it was that my opponent was thinking, right? And I'm sure it was just threaten the rook to make it move. What they got to realize is they've got control of this square, they've got control of this square, they've got control of this square, and they're protecting their knight right here because of the bishop. When they brought forward that pawn, they weakened the dark square here. And, I think at one point they pushed this pawn too, but they're almost opening the door for a check. It didn't come to that, but, I think they got to focus on their pawn play. Okay, so again, I don't know what that move is. It doesn't threaten anything, and it's just giving me material. So that was easy to see. And again, here, right, had that knight still been there, okay, I can't now, but, they've opened up check. Not in this regard, so, I'm not criticizing, but... okay, and now, now this would have been a good move. So I don't know why I missed that, but now, whatever they decide to do with their king, I've got material. Okay, so I think what I was trying to do here when I played that was, whoops, I wanted to avoid them queening and me somehow accidentally letting them, right? Because now if they play this pawn, it's mine. Oh yeah, I liked this move because I know they didn't think it could happen, but it could because the queen was attacking. So they've got to move, and again, that's just, checkmate. So that was a good game. Okay, so that was, hey, 3 games in a row, 3 wins. None of them the prettiest, but, outplayed the opponent each time. And I feel good about that. We're going to go ahead and give them the thumbs up and say, hey, good game. And again, as long as I'm not blunder, well, I did have the one blunder, but in all 3 games kept the blunders low and won some games. So I don't think there's much more we can ask for. Thanks for watching.